For the last few years, I've been displaying my collection in a closet in the hallway of my apartment. I like that it keeps things dust-free, and at any moment I can make the entire collection disappear. But I really hated the fact that so many of my figures were still in storage under my bed. There just wasn't a lot of room. As many as I had on display, there was still need for more room. And I know that this is kind of the struggle of any collector, especially now with so many figures coming out just constantly. It's so hard to actually maintain any sense of organization or cleanliness with your collection. So I decided to try and brave the crowds at IKEA right before Thanksgiving and pick up some Detolf shelves. I had to drive like an hour away to find an IKEA that still had these cases, and honestly I got through building the first one and started regretting my decision. I wanted to adapt the hexagon stands that I had designed to fit in this Detolf, so I tried a couple different variations. I ended up going with the top one here. It's fewer figures, but it looks a little bit cleaner, so I got all three of my Bamboo Lab printers going. I'm obsessed with these P1P printers, and I was able to get these to print in two different sections here, one 6-pack and then another 6-pack that's just in a slightly different shape to give this nice little pyramid effect here, and I made a few of these to go on each shelf. And I wanted to put one of the Detolfs in my print closet here because whenever I have guests over, I always have to kind of explain to them from scratch what it is that I do, and I usually don't have too many dioramas sitting around. Then I wanted to put two more Detolfs in my closet here where I store a lot of my hot toys and other random things. I would love to have these out on display. I just really don't have anywhere in my apartment where the Detolfs would fit. So here is the one that's in the print closet. There's definitely room for it. It fits nicely, and I think this is going to be the one that I keep. And honestly, I don't know if I'm ever going to actually open up the other two, because through this process I realized that all I really needed to do was clear off these two bottom shelves and I could fit a lot more figures, and pretty much anything I wanted to have on display could still all be contained in this closet. So this was the shelf that had the Endor bunker on it, and I really had my enjoyment of that display, but I think I would like to fit some more figures. So here's my current original trilogy shelf. It's really small and contained to just this second shelf here. I do love that this is the one shelf that I painted black. I've decided not to paint the other ones because when I move out of my rental, it's going to be a real pain to paint this closet. But I started migrating all of the Disney Plus Ahsoka, Mandoverse figures down to the fourth shelf here because I'd really like to get some sense of chronology here, even though there's certain things about that kind of bother me. I don't want my Andor figures on my original trilogy shelf. I want to keep that pretty much clean to just OT figures. So I migrated all of my Mandoverse stuff down to the bottom and started moving all of my prequels and Clone Wars stuff up top. I still have to move these. It's kind of a process moving stuff around because I don't have really much room to put everything. Here we are making a little bit more progress on the prequel shelf. This was like a 3-day process because, I could only work on this for a few hours at a time, and I was surprised how much work it ended up being. And of course we did have to wait for all of the new hexagon stands to print because I added a lot more risers to my shelf. But slowly but surely it's coming together. You can see I've got all of my A New Hope going into Empire Strikes Back on that second shelf, and now the middle shelf is going to be exclusively Return of the Jedi. I have so many Jabba's Palace figures and all of my custom Endor troopers and custom Ewoks. So because I made so many more spaces for prequels and Return of the Jedi, I have a lot of open spots still that I need to figure out what I'm going to fill it with. I don't want to do too many duplicates, but I could add some Gamorrean guards and whatnot, but there's still 6 spots there that need to be filled, and then almost 15 on the prequel shelf. I absolutely have a ton of clone troopers that can definitely fill these, it's hard to see here, but behind Darth Maul and Grievous there's a whole row that is completely empty, basically from Dexter all the way to the right. So I can, I have a lot of room to play there, but I don't want to just have a full row of clones. I'm not really crazy about those. I do have to say I'm really happy with how my A New Hope going into Empire Strikes Back is. I have my whole Cantina Alien section, my Hoth section, my Bounty Hunters, all these little mini displays that I always wanted to have that all kind of work in a row here. I got this Lieutenant Oxixo figure from eBay this week, and I really didn't even know what scene he was from. I was thrilled to find out that he is from the Battle of Endor. And even though it's not chronological, I did move the Emperor and Lando and Nien Nunb over to the left here just so I could have the right side just be Battle of Endor. So my Mandoverse shelf is coming together. So now we're kind of breaking chronology here because I do have Kenobi and Andor figures here, but I think it feels better to have them there than to kind of invade the original trilogy section. And then I do have sequel trilogy stuff down at the bottom, a lot of cool customs there. And then I'd like a Jedi Fallen Order, moving into gaming greats here a little bit. I'm still figuring out how this bottom shelf is going to flow, but I needed to have that Krennic and his droid on display somewhere. I just didn't know exactly where, and again, I didn't want to invade the original trilogy with modern media. And so do you remember that clip I showed you at the beginning of the video under my bed? So that is actually the current state of things after I've added all of these figures to my shelf. So there is obviously just a ton more to go here. I think I need 2 closets this size. And then I did do a bunch of organization with these little bins from Amazon. I will have these linked below. I like that they're stackable and they can fit figures horizontally. Each one holds about 30 figures. I still have some more on the way to fit those random clones that are up top, but this is mostly helmeted characters here, like different troopers that are kind of their own thing, like the 501st and the 212th, especially with all of those AliExpress figures. It just helps me track things down faster when I'm looking for a particular figure, like if I'm doing a shelf series video or just wanting to add something else to the shelf. So I finally found enough figures to flesh out the Return of the Jedi section, and I was able to move some figures down from A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back to fit like the AT-AT driver and certain figures like that. The thing with these hexagon stands is there's a finite amount of spaces. It's not like you can squeeze a figure in and make more room, so you always are kind of like shuffling things around and figuring out what's going to replace what. But I do enjoy the uniformity and organization, because when you've got so many different figures that all look different, having a very uniform structure to like your arrangement really makes things look nice. These hexagon stands, of course, are available to download the STL file on Etsy and Patreon, which will be linked below. I just did a collection tour a month ago, but let me know if you think this update warrants a brand new collection tour video. In the meantime, here are some other videos from my channel that you might enjoy. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.